I read once, passingly, a man named Shakespeare. I only read about him passingly, but I remember one thing he wrote that kind of moved me. He put it in the mouth of Hamlet, I think it was, who said, "To be or not to be." He was in doubt about something. Whether it was nobler in the mind of man to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, moderation, or to take up arms against the sea of troubles and by opposing, end them. And I go for that. If you take up arms, you'll end it. But if you sit around and wait for the one who's in power to make up his mind that he should end it, you'll be waiting a long time. And in my opinion, the young generation of whites, blacks, browns, whatever else there is, you're living at a time of extremism, a time of revolution, a time when there's got to be a change. People in power have misused it, and now there has to be a change, and a better world has to be built, and the only way it's going to be built is with extreme methods. And I, for one, will join in with anyone, don't care what color you are, as long as you want to change this miserable condition that exists on this earth. Thank you.
You know, it's welcome to the Gilchrist Experience. It's always warms my heart when I see Malcolm and that debate. I just watched a show Gil Noble and I had done, where he explained how he helped get this piece over from England. Because the English wanted something he had done on, I forgot who it was, one of our famous heroes, and Gil had the piece, so there was an even exchange for this debate of Malcolm. But listening to Malcolm at the end of his life, because this was in December of '64, right? He died 2 months after that. And you can see his whole pattern had changed. No longer was the white man the devil. He's in the middle of the sun never sets on the English empire, preaching about, I'll work with anybody, I don't care what color you are. So we all seem to come around to that everything's universal. And I had the pleasure of going to Hawaii.
Aloha.
As you can see by the Hawaiian tan I have today. And I took my baby, my wife, for her birthday. And it was quite an eye-opener. And of course, Graham's all over the place, and he has a cousin there. So she showed us around, and it was really a good feeling. And we went by his high school.
Not my high school.
We went to President Obama's high school, and it's like a college campus. You can imagine. But you see how a man has grown up in a paradise like that has the low-key temperament that he has. And it was really enjoyable. It was an eye-opener for me. I hadn't been there in quite a while. Matter of fact, I was there in '61 when I was in the Marine Corps. I was stationed on a ship for 2 years, and we traveled around watching H-bombs go off. I know I told that story once or twice. And I went back to the spot where I learned how to surf in Waikiki. Of course, everything.
Waikiki is very different now. Right.
And it was quite a trip. So you know what we're going to do? We have a guest supposedly coming in, but I just want to run that piece on Hawaii, and you get to see a little taste of my baby's birthday. See? All right, run the Hawaiian piece, and we'll come right back at you.
Let it be
Happy birthday! Say happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Thank you. Thank you, Winnie.
It's one of my favorite U.S. songs right there. Good morning, style. Thank you very much, everybody. Welcome.
Oh, yeah, right. Did you get the mountain?
Yeah.
Yeah. They hit each other.
They're picking up their kids.
Yeah, and there's no really parking.
This is Obama. He looks like an Indian.
Oh, they have a science center.
And this is the high school for Obama. This is Obama's.
Yes, Punahou Academy.
This is Obama's high school.
Robert C. Corduell Lecture Hall. And this is one of the good schools.
Oh, we don't have a good shot of that. Is there something?
Yeah.
What's going in?
Yeah, it's
As you see, we had a good time. We had a good time. And it was just, I always say that Obama's a blessing from God. And that is God's country. So, I mean, he's born in Eden.
well, Tracy said that that was where God lived,
Yeah,
and she sold her house and moved to Hawaii.
yeah,
And my cousin's been out there 13 years.
yeah, right.
You know, the Hawaiian people are very nice, wonderful, loving people. They don't consider themselves Americans.
Yet that's
They will
Hawaii,
tell you,
USA.
we are Hawaiians.
Right.
And the attitude of the people on the mainland is not the attitude of the people on Hawaii.
And you see mostly Japanese there.
No, they're not Japanese. You have a lot of Samoans. The Hawaiians
No, I'm talking about
themselves.
the people in the street, the tourists. And,
The tourists, yeah, the Japanese do get around. You'll find more Japanese in Disney World than you'll find black people.
Really?
But World War II is long past.
Yeah.
And
And it went there.
she lives on the island of Oahu,
Mm-hmm.
where you were not Hawaii, but Honolulu, Waikiki, Diamond Head. Very beautiful island. The Dole Plantation is there at the far end of the island.
We didn't get to see that.
And I remember parking my car there, and I was near a pole. It was a multicolored pole. I thought it was a pole. It wasn't a pole. It was a tree.
Mm-hmm.
It was red, green, blue, and yellow. The bark of the tree, it was a eucalyptus tree. And the guy said to me, "It's not a pole, look up." And I looked up, it was a tree, a eucalyptus tree. And you went to the palace of King Kamehameha,
Yeah.
who was the last great king of Hawaii before the Americans invaded Hawaii. And it's interesting because his palace had electricity before the White House had electricity.
Amazing.
But the Hawaiians are a very proud people. Surprisingly enough, they talk about the economy there. It's no different than New York. It's pretty much
Yeah.
the same. And our folks are welcome there.
Yeah.
They're welcomed by the Hawaiian people.
And the military, they live well there.
Yeah.
They live well. You might note that the shot we showed you was a military base that we saw. Patricia took us to a military base, which was Air Force Base.
Air Force, right.
Yeah. But that was Hawaii. We got a good taste of the way Obama was raised. At high school, quite a high school to go to, right?
A real campus.
A real campus. In high school yet. Wow.
And the kids they're not shouting and cursing and carrying
they
them
were
on.
Quite nice. Everybody was friendly, but that's Hawaii. I'm going back in April. I'll announce that. I got stuck on the place. It's really it's strange to come from there and into the cold because it snowed the day we got back, and it's interesting. Well, that's my last week adventure. While you people are suffering here.
We've had the elections. The elections for mayor and
de Blasio,
other de Blasio and the others. And Nelson Mandela passed.
Yeah, I went to go over
last week.
Yeah.
We had a memorial at our church.
Yeah.
And Bill de Blasio was there, Reverend Sharpton, Tish James.
They came to your church?
Yeah, it was
wow.
On Sunday morning, a week ago. Tish James, Ken Thompson.
Did you know they were coming?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ken Thompson, the new Brooklyn DA.
I was on a plane that day.
Right. And a lot of people were surprised because Pastor turned the pulpit over to Reverend Sharpton.
Whoa. Oh, that should have been an eye-opener.
A lot of people have never heard him preach. They're like, oh, well, I said, you need to just shut up, sit back,
listen,
and put on your seatbelt.
The man can preach.
Reverend Sharpton came in, blew the place up.
Yeah.
When he got to it, just dropped the mic on the podium and walked off the pulpit. He spoke about how you need to know your calling in life.
Amen. That's it.
And that others are going to try and disrupt you in what you're doing. spoke about the N-word. And a dialogue that he had, or a forum that was held with regard to it, and how one of the guys on the forum, a couple weeks after the forum, who believed that it was a term of endearment,
Right.
called Reverend Sharpton and said, "I need your help." He said, "What's wrong?" He says, "Well, my civil rights have been violated. These people did
rapper?
whatever. Yeah.
Oh, he told that story. Yeah,
And,
I heard that
we
one.
know what his response was in terms of his civil rights. Because he said, those kind of people that identify themselves by the N-word, they don't have any civil rights.
Right.
But, we're going to see how the city moves forward come January 1st.
Right.
With the new administration, and Bill Bratton coming back as commissioner. I know him. I worked with him in the transit police.
A lot of people were worried about him.
And
He say stop and frisk and question was started with Bratton.
well,
Is that true?
when Bratton came to transit, I can't remember what year that was. It was during,
Giuliani?
well, he was the commissioner
Before.
under Giuliani.
Okay.
But he came as the transit chief
Oh, way before that. That's
prior
the
to.
70s.
No, in the, let's see, late earlies going into the early 90s.
Okay.
And we had some butting of heads, he and I. But when certain things were brought to his attention, he did handle it.
Okay.
I had received complaints from female officers about favors for sex from one of his command staff people. And in a meeting, I said to him, I said, I have an allegation against one of your command staff, but until the complainants are ready to step forward, I'm going to wait. And they ultimately did come forward. And that individual was the chief of internal affairs.
Wow. Okay.
So he was summarily dismissed. He had a professorship at a college here in New York City. He was told don't come back to the campus. And he was also involved in a tennis foundation with children. And they told him stay clear of the foundation and the children.
And what had he done?
He was requiring sex for favors and promotions within the internal affairs unit from the female officers.
Oh.
And there's a case going on right now in NYPD with the same thing. But when I presented that to Brett,
Right.
he swiftly took care of it.
What do you
but-
think about him coming on to now?
Well, what we have now is called ComStat. And ComStat is a mind game which was developed, I shouldn't call it a mind game, but it really is a mind game developed by an old friend of mine, Jack Maple, from Transit Police. We were in the academy at the same time. And when Bill Bratton came to Transit, Jack hooked up with him, and Bill reformed the Transit Police. Transit Police was the 5th largest police department in the United States. We had more transit cops than FBI agents. And he brought it up to a very high standard. I have to give him credit for that. He was good at that. And he also brought the crime down. What we engaged in was no nonsense. To cut the fare beating, you beat the fare, you got arrested. You didn't get a ticket. And other things. We had
arrest for
you were arrested. That's right. So, and they did the stats and saw that a lot of the people that were committing crimes were the ones that were beating the fare.
Wow. Okay.
So here were people going to work on the subway, so to speak, and they weren't paying the fare to get to work.
Right. Right.
But they would get on the subway, commit their crimes, and
Okay.
then go. So the productivity greatly increased, and I even worked in a unit. Our job was to focus on the criminal element.
Again, what do you think Bratton's going to do?
Well, this is what I'm getting to.
Okay.
I'm giving you that background.
All right.
Crime did drop, and it all started with Dinkins.
Okay.
And then when Bratton was brought back by Giuliani, because it was during Dinkins that Bratton was here with the transit police, if I recall correctly, and then
Under Dinkins?
Dinkins, right.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
Giuliani brought him back.
Okay. All right.
He and Giuliani did not like each other.
Yeah, I understand.
They didn't get along. We had the Desmond Robinson shooting where Desmond was shot in the back 5 times by Peter Del Debbio.
Oh, yeah.
I handled that case.
Yeah, I remember that
For the
one.
Transit Police Major Case Unit, I handled that case, and I knew Desmond.
You knew Desmond?
I knew him personally, yeah.
Okay.
Knew him as a rookie coming into the department.
Yeah.
So
Remind people what case that was.
Desmond Robinson was a plainclothes police officer with the Transit Police.
Right.
And there was a shotgun which someone had, and they dropped it on the platform at 51st and Lexington, and by Citicorp. And people were screaming. A couple of people got some pellets in the legs, but they got a report of shots fired in the subway. Desmond and his partner were there along with plainclothes personnel. They were up at the top of the escalator, so they ran down, and now they were combing the station for the individual. And Desmond and his partner, Thompson, had separated, but Desmond was coming back to Thompson. And he saw Thompson at the rear of the train with his weapon aimed at a guy in the tracks. Now, the guy had jumped in the tracks. When he heard the shotgun blast, he jumped in the tracks to get out of the line of fire. So Desmond was running to Thompson on a diagonal from one side of the platform to the other. And Peter Del Debbio was on the train. Now, Del Debbio had been robbed on the subway before.
This in the 80s?
90s.
90s?
90s. He had been robbed on the subway before.
So it was 80s.
Early 90s. And
Okay.
what happened was that Desmond is walking towards Thompson. He has his weapon in his hand. He has his ID. Del Debbio's on the train. He sees Desmond with the gun. As Desmond walks past the door of the subway, Del Debbio steps out behind Desmond, grabs him on the shoulder, and fires into his back. Full contact. Gun right into his back.
It's just
He
cop
starts
on cop.
shooting. Now, the uniform officers and Thompson, Desmond's partner, they hear the shots and they turn and they see this guy shooting Desmond, and Desmond is falling, and he's still shooting him in the back as Desmond is falling to the ground.
Right.
Desmond was hit. A round went through his chest, exited his chest, struck the platform, and went back up into his chest.
Whoa.
So Desmond had 5-point full contact wounds in his back. Del Debbio was shot by one of the officers. One of the uniform officers shot Peter Del Debbio. He was wounded in the arm. Giuliani turned the whole thing around. And we were at Bellevue Hospital that night. I was working on a homicide in Brooklyn and responded because I was catching that case.
Now, Del Debbio was white and Desmond was black.
It was black.
Both of them were in plain clothes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Del Debbio was off duty. He wasn't working.
That's right. That's what it was. That's what it was.
He had been
wasn't
robbed
wor-
on the subway
Right.
by some guys.
That's right. He wasn't working.
And he
was
regularly rode the subway hoping to find those guys again. Because when they found out, when they were going through his pockets, they found his shield. And they said, oh, you're a cop. And with a knife, they hacked off the first digit on his right index finger. They said, you're not going to be shooting any of our friends. So they hacked off the first digit of his trigger finger.
So Del Debbio had a real...
So he was, yeah.
Okay.
And we got further information on him because even after that robbery, he was a very uncooperative witness.
Right.
But he spent years trying to hang out with transit cops, with the surface crime unit when he was off duty. We found out a lot of things. He was a loose cannon.
Right.
So he shoots Desmond.
And Desmond lived.
Desmond lived.
Right.
I'm at Bellevue with Bill Bratton, Giuliani, Mike O'Connor, Chief of Transit Police, Desmond's sister and brother, my partner, and we're in a waiting room waiting to hear from the surgeon. The surgeon comes down, he says, Officer Robinson will live.
Yeah,
He said he has 5 full contact wounds to his back.
Oh.
So one of the brass from NYPD. Well, Dr. Ray, he says, don't start the BS with me. He was shot point blank range, full contact in the back. Giuliani goes down to the press conference. I'm standing there, Bratton is there, and Giuliani turns the whole story around about these two cops two hero cops who encountered each other not knowing who they were, and Desmond accidentally gets shot. That's not the way it happened. In the
So Giuliani did the spin.
He put the spin on it. And then Giuliani has a photo op with Peter Del Debbio holding Desmond Robinson's hand in the hospital and saying, I forgive you. All right?
I remember that.
Now, Desmond was not fully conscious when that photograph was taken. The administrator of the hospital did not give permission for anybody. You can't take pictures in a hospital.
Wow.
He gave no permission for a photographer to come in and take that picture, and there was only one photographer that Giuliani brought in to take this picture, this set-up photograph. And Desmond said he never said that he forgave Peter Del Debbio for putting 5 bullets in his back. In the precinct, we take all the evidence. I had all the officers that fired, I had their weapons in the 17th precinct on the east side. I had 2 rookie cops from District 4. I told them everything on that table, just watch it, nobody tampers with it. And I'm on the other side of the room. I was doing something, and a captain comes in and a sergeant. The captain's in uniform. His name is Bowers. And he says to the plainclothes sergeant, they're talking, they said, yeah, our guy effed up, talking about Peter Del Debbio. The sergeant says, yeah, don't worry, I'll take care of it. So I look at the 2 officers, and they're like, what? I said, just watch and listen. So the sergeant picks up Desmond's safari jacket and starts picking the melted lead out of the fabric. See, that's forensic evidence. So
To show how close he was.
Right.
Okay.
Because Desmond has powder burns, stippling, he has everything in the wound, like it was a tattoo.
What was the final result of all
The
this?
final result of that was that Peter Del Debbio continued to work.
Nothing ever happened to Del Debbio.
No.
Right?
No.
And Desmond?
Desmond retired.
Retired.
Yeah, he lives in Florida.
There was never any charges on Del Debbio, right? Nothing.
No.
So that was Giuliani's
Spin.
subtle racism,
His
can we
spin.
say?
Because Giuliani said in a Colombian Association meeting, the Italians, he said, we protect our own.
Oh, man.
So I had called Juan Gonzalez through Amy Goodman at Democracy Now!
Yeah.
I spoke with Juan Gonzalez and did an expose of the corruption and the attempted cover-up and the tampering of evidence with regard to NYP and their brass. So getting back to Bratton now. He and Jack Maple put together ComStat, where all the commanding officers have to come to police headquarters and account for the crime in their precincts. And what Jack did, he knew everything that was going on in every precinct. So if you're the commanding officer, and I said, Mrs. Williams was robbed last Tuesday at 4 o'clock on the corner of Columbus and 68th Street. What's happening with that case? And if you couldn't tell me, you were berated in front of your peers. And you were threatened with being removed of your command.
So you're looking for positive things coming from Bratton?
Well, what came out of ComStat was that the precinct commanders were so fearful of going to ComStat and being beaten up or being threatened with losing their command, the pressure was put on the police officers. So, ergo, Kelly now continues this process when now they're saying they want this activity, they want that activity, so that takes you into the stop and frisk. The notion that by stopping people, frisking them, you're going to prevent crime. and it hasn't prevented crime. Matter of fact, crime is on the way up and has been going up these last few months under the Bloomberg administration. The shootings, shootings are up. Shootings are definitely up. So we're going to have to see, Bill de Blasio had said this is something he wants to stop. Elliot Spitzer did a report on this 13 years ago when we brought the issue to the forefront with 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement. And Elliot Spitzer's report, which concurred what we were saying, has never been adhered to, not by any commissioner.
Let's update ourselves and talk a little bit about, I wanted to go to the Affordable Care Act. My guest has not shown up, but we had, never mind, since he's not here, we won't even go through there. I wanted to talk about the Affordable Care Act and what's happening, but
affordable care, this is not an Obama issue. Remember, Hillary Clinton tried to push health care through when her husband was in office, and they shut it down. But affordable care has been discussed since FDR's term in office. He spoke about the need for Americans to have national health care.
There's no reason in the world why the rich are control. I mean, doctors are noted to rip us off. I mean, people have been going broke for years. The biggest fear. People always say to me, "What has Obama done for black people?" And my answer was, "You take the Affordable Care Act right there. This is our biggest fear: is to get sick and you can't afford to get sick."
Right.
And the richest country in the world, and we've got enough billionaires to really support any country, but everybody's greedy. It's all about you and yours, and of course there's a racial thing included there. But Obama, as big as, I imagine if I were president of the United States and my mother had a problem getting health care and died as a result, my pet beef with the system would be affordable care.
My mother had cancer.
All right.
And she was treated. She had surgery. This is going back before 1990. And a social worker, my mother had a house, which she worked for. Social worker wanted to know, what does she have? Because they're looking to take whatever they can get from you. If you have a house, they want to take it. And I was smart enough to have her transfer the deed to the property into my name.
A lot of people do that.
Right.
Sure.
Because, and I told the social worker, I said, my mother worked for the War Department during the Second World War. She had a scholarship to Columbia University in 1940, but could not afford to go to college. She had to work. And she worked, and she worked for the city. She went blind. She got disability. But she bought a house, and if you think you're going to get the house, in order for her to have medical care, when you're bringing people here from Russia and other parts of the world, and they're coming in here getting food stamps, Social Security, when they haven't worked in this country, they get Social Security, they have medical coverage. You're bringing all these people here, you can add whatever the bill is, add it into whatever you're paying them
Why
for.
everybody knowing that that's the case? If you have an example, the president has an example. I fortunately have never gotten sick where I needed medical care because I'm scared to death of hospitals. I've seen them kill too many people. Just going in and you come out with something. So I never trust the system. My wife, we fight all the time about going to the doctor. You can't get me. I'm just lucky.
Well, I had my first hospitalization.
Well, we just went through that with you, right?
The doctor
you got
said
lucky.
I wasn't lucky, I was blessed.
All right.
I should have been dead before I got to the hospital. I should have been dead the day before. And they just couldn't understand.
But you had decent coverage.
Oh, I've always had excellent coverage.
Now, what if you didn't have that coverage?
If I didn't have it, first of all, I wouldn't have been able to go to the hospital I was in. I wouldn't have been able to have the #1 surgeon in laser surgery to treat my condition. I would have been at a city-run hospital, and I just have to get whatever I could get there. But I am blessed enough that I not only work, but I have a pension. There are a lot of people that work in jobs and don't even get their pensions now. The companies go out of business, whatever, and there's no health care for people. So, and it's beyond the black issue. It's an issue where the majority of people across this country that don't have health coverage are not black, they're white.
Of course.
They're white, because there aren't that many black people in this country relative to the total population.
All right, can you put a phone number up? I'm curious to see if anybody else has a health care issue where they're benefiting from this Obamacare. Because we were supposed to have a specialist on A.C.A. here today. That's why we have an empty chair, and he has yet to show up. But I'd be curious if anybody else out there had any good result, because this Obamacare has got to work. As far as I'm concerned, throughout the planet, you go any place else in the world, and you get universal care. I mean, any place other than America. So it's a stumbling block, and they seem to be trying to bury Obama and him making an effort to save us.
When it was introduced in Massachusetts by Romney, Rachel Maddow was on television this morning on, I think, Queen Latifah. And
Queen Latifah?
Queen
Rachel
Latifah?
Maddow's on
Yeah,
Queen Latifah?
she was on Queen Latifah this morning.
Oh, my goodness.
And she said, she's from Massachusetts. She said when the health care program was put into effect by Romney, it was a failing system, the website, everything. Only 18 people in the state signed up for it in the first month, but she said 70% of the state of Massachusetts is now covered under that program. 70% of the state of Massachusetts.
All right.
So in time, people are going to, whatever the numbers are, they're only going to increase, because what my hospital stay cost was $130,000, I think, something like that. I paid $100.
For this last one you went to?
Yeah. So, and the surgery. So, you've got to have some kind of health coverage, and most people don't.
But see, you had a union.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the best.
I had the best.
Being a police officer for 20 years. And a lot of people
most
go
people,
broke.
the vast majority of people do not have. The congressmen have excellent health care.
Yeah.
Wow. They just got an increase in their pension.
All right.
But those are the people that are telling people they don't need it, it won't work, it can't work, but yet they have health coverage and their families have health coverage. I'm
sorry that we, I dedicated this program to deal with health care and the issues, but again, I tell you what, just give us 5 minutes of the president talking about health care and we'll come right back at you, all right? Just run Obama for a minute. We'll be right back at you. Anybody?
Hi, everybody. A few weeks ago, we launched an important new part of the Affordable Care Act. It's called the Marketplace. And for Americans without health insurance and Americans who buy insurance on their own because they can't get it at work, it's a very big deal. If you're one of those people, the Affordable Care Act makes you part of a big group plan for the first time. The Marketplace is where you can apply and shop for affordable new health insurance choices. It gathers insurers under one system to compete for your business, and that choice and competition have actually helped bring prices down. Ultimately, the easiest way to buy insurance in this marketplace will be a new website, healthcare.gov. But as you may have heard, the site isn't working the way it's supposed to yet. It's frustrating for all of us who've worked so hard to make sure everyone who needs it gets healthcare. And it's especially frustrating for the Americans who've been trying to get covered. The site's been visited more than 20 million times so far. Nearly 700,000 people have applied for coverage already. And that proves just how much demand there is for these new, quality, affordable healthcare choices. And that's why, in the coming weeks, we are going to get it working as smoothly as it's supposed to. We've got people working overtime 24/7 to boost capacity and address these problems every single day. But even as we improve the website, remember that the website isn't the only way to apply for coverage under these new plans. We've updated healthcare.gov to offer more information about enrolling over the phone, by mail, or in person with a specially trained navigator who can help answer your questions. Just call 1-800-318-2596 or visit localhelp.healthcare.gov. And don't worry, these plans will not sell out. We're only a few weeks into a 6-month open enrollment period, and everyone who wants insurance through the marketplace will get it. Now, some people have poked fun at me this week for sounding like an insurance salesman, and that's okay. I'd still be out there championing this law even if the website were perfect. I'll never stop fighting to help more hardworking Americans know the economic security of healthcare. That's something we should all want. That's why it's also interesting to see Republicans in Congress expressing so much concern that people are having trouble buying health insurance through the new website, especially considering they've spent the last few years so obsessed with denying those same people access to health insurance that they just shut down the government and threatened default over it. As I've said many times before, I'm willing to work with anyone on any idea who's actually willing to make this law perform better. But it's well past the time for folks to stop rooting for its failure, because hardworking middle-class families are rooting for its success. The Affordable Care Act gives people who've been stuck with sky-high premiums because of pre-existing conditions the chance to get affordable insurance for the first time. This law means that women can finally buy coverage that doesn't charge them higher premiums than men for the same care. And everyone who already has health insurance, whether through your employer, Medicare, or Medicaid, will keep the benefits and protections this law already has put into place. 3 million more young adults have health insurance on their parents' plans because of the Affordable Care Act. More than 6 million people on Medicare have saved an average of $1,000 on their prescription medicine because of the Affordable Care Act. Last year, more than 8 million Americans received $500 million in refunds from their insurers because of the Affordable Care Act. And for tens of millions of women, preventive care like mammograms and birth control are free because of the Affordable Care Act. That's all part of this law, and it's here to stay. We did not fight so hard for this reform for so many years just to build a website. We did it to free millions of American families from the awful fear that one illness or injury to yourself or your child might cost you everything you'd worked so hard to build. We did it to cement the principle that in this country, the security of health care is not a privilege for a fortunate few, but a right for every one of us to enjoy. We've already delivered on part of that promise, and we will not rest until the work is done. Thanks, and have a great weekend.
I'm back. Yeah, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. Do we have any callers? I was curious to see if anybody was have any stories.
Part of this Health Care Act, and it's a law. It's not.
What do you think about what Obama's saying?
Well, he should have had the top-notch people working on that website to avoid all of the nonsensical talk.
But
700,000 people that did not have coverage registered at the time that he did that piece.
And that was October 26th.
All right. So that's almost 2 months ago.
All right.
So we can envision millions of people getting health care. The greatest resource of any nation is that of its people.
Right.
And if your people are not healthy, and this is important, you don't need health care just for when you get ill. You need it to keep you from becoming ill. Mm-hmm. You need to have a checkup, see a doctor to offset what can become a major problem down the road. Mm-hmm. When people have a healthy body, they work better. When they have a healthy mind, they work better. When they have a healthy spirit, they work better. So if employers and the country wants to have productivity, and they want this country to really progress and get back on its feet, people have to have the knowledge that there's certain things they don't have to worry about every day in going to and from work. A lot of people have jobs that they don't show up, they don't get paid.
Yeah.
You know? So if you're getting sick and losing money at the same time, people will not take off from work to get the help they need for fear of losing the job. That's another thing.
Yeah.
You know? So when people have these stresses taken off of them, they can work more efficiently. And they can focus on what it is that they have to do.
Well, a healthy body leads to a happy life.
Yeah.
Well, you just went through it. I've just been so blessed, man. Knock on. I'm 72 now, and I just. Oh man, I don't have any problems. I don't take any pills. I don't have any problems. So I'm just, and I don't really understand the system because I think you can cure yourself by we both thought that, and you had a serious problem just recently. But if anybody's out there like to talk about a healthcare problem, please call, or any other questions you have. Let's talk about Mandela and
Yes.
South Africa, because they're still not out of the woods, are they?
No.
And then we have Central Africa and all the stuff that's happening there. But we had some positive thoughts about the Congo last time Gimme was on, Professor Gimme. We had found that they had, we should have reviewed that. But do you know anything about this Central African thing that just cropped up?
The Central, the French, the Republic, French Republic, Central African.
Yeah, I just saw it on the news today. I don't know.
What happened?
Which one was it? It said Eastern Congo or something? I thought that was Eastern Congo.
Eastern Congo, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we should have. Professor Gimme, if you're watching, call up.
All right, so this just happened today.
I just saw it on the news this morning.
Oh, I didn't see the news this morning.
If anybody has any information about that, please call.
But South Africa they have some serious problems.
Nat, if you're out there, give us a call and let's talk about Mandela.
The unemployment rate of black men, I think, is something like 70%. Racism is still alive and well. And it's not about being able to go here and being able to go there, but what quality of education can you get in South Africa today? There were 2 callers on the line.
All right, caller, just say what you got to say.
Good
Yes.
afternoon, Mr. G.
Yes.
How you doing today?
How are you?
Welcome back from your trek.
Who am I talking to?
The son of MJQ, brother. How you
Hey,
doing?
man, how you doing, man?
All right, Brother Spoon, how you doing today?
I'm all right, thank God.
Good,
Thank God.
good. I wanted to say a couple of things. First of all, you and your wife, because I watch your wife's show, and matter of fact, I'm going to watch your wife's show after I finish watching you. And you two, actually you 3 people, Brother Spoon and Mr. and Mrs. Gilchrist, you are 3 people, and we are fortunate to have you walking the face of the earth. You 2 are very, very knowledgeable and very articulate men. With that being said, Nelson Mandela, bless his soul, is a perfect example of the old saying, the best revenge against your detractors and your enemies is to live well.
That's right.
And he surely has done that. And God rest his soul. And the last thing I wanted to say also is that with the Bill Bratton situation, give the man a chance.
Yeah, there you go.
Have an open mind. People are saying, oh, here we go, we're going back to the old stuff again. and it sounds like people want de Blasio and Breton to fail before they even get started.
That's right.
And it's not fair to those two. Give the men a chance. And,
that's right.
And give them a chance to do something. You know,
yeah.
Charles Barron had the nerve to go on TV a couple of weeks ago and say that Al Sharpton should be ashamed of himself for having Bratton at the National Action Network because Al Sharpton doesn't speak for all black people. And
say that again. Say that again. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it was on the news.
Said on a media interview that Al Sharpton should be ashamed of himself for having Bill Bratton at the National Action Network because Al Sharpton does not speak for all black people.
That's right. Charles hasn't been there in a while.
Charles doesn't.
Well,
Charles doesn't speak for all black people either.
Charles Barron needs to also have an open mind also because sometimes this radical stuff and this nationalist stuff doesn't work all the time.
No.
And in order to be with to have some respect. See, black people, we have to respect the police, and the police have to respect us. Okay, it's plain and simple. To give respect, you got to get respect. So just have an open mind and give the man a chance. And with that being said, I will wish you two gentlemen good evening and Merry Christmas to you all.
Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
I have a feeling, Mr. Gilchrist, you ain't gonna be working the day after Christmas.
Yeah, next Wednesday's Christmas, right? I'll be at National Action Network, though. I'll be at National Action Network.
Take care and have a lovely holiday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All of
God
you
bless.
that have nothing to do with Christmas, I'll be working at National Action Network with Reverend Sharpton. We're doing a live stream from National Action Network on Christmas. I'll be working hard. You know, that's my Christmas.
See, the thing about Bill Bratton, as I said before, he and Giuliani did not get along.
So it should be good.
It should be a much better run.
What about what Charles said?
Charles doesn't speak for all black people either. Nobody does. So there's really no value in the statement.
Well, why does Charles have a beef with Bratton?
I don't care. I really don't know, and I don't care. But the fact is that Bill Bratton, and it's...
You have another caller? Oh, two calls.
I lost my train of thought. Real quick. I talked with Bill Bratton earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying he'd like to come back. I said, well, there's a possibility that you may.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's back, all right?
Let's see what he's going to do.
And he's an innovator. He is an innovator, and he's not looking to go into a hotbed of coals.
All right.
He's not looking to do that.
All right. Well, I'd just like to say that, you just got to give it a chance. When, they had a lot to say about Obama when he first got in, So the problem with black people is most of the time it's other blacks. That's all I find out. Next caller, please.
Is that me?
Yes. Hey, Nat, what's up?
What's up?
Hey, Nat.
Hey, Nat, how you doing?
You like that? You like the Hawaiian piece?
The first thing I want to say, the first thing I really, really want to say is I want to thank you, Winnie Gilchrist, for taking my baby girl that I grew up with. The look on her face in Hawaii was like really just worth the price of admission.
Right?
I love you for that. She looks so beautiful. She's radiant.
Yeah.
You can't be all bad.
Oh, man, that's a blessing.
If you had an angel like Beverly and make her that smile, and make her smile like
See?
that,
Happy.
there got to be some all right this in you.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, but thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I mean, that just feels so good.
Yeah, right.
Because she really deserves a happy life,
Right.
I also want to say thank you to Graham for being so lucid and dispassionate in relaying the events of the Del Debbio incident. I mean,
Yeah, right,
get
right.
that kind of just cogent, analytical evaluation of
Like you were there.
events in media anymore. That is very, very, very rare. A lot of times it's just histrionics and name calling and avoiding facts, but you were very, very cogent, and I really appreciate that.
Well, thanks, Nat. I won't forget those days. I won't forget them.
Yeah, that's hard.
No, that was awesome. That was awesome. I I'm not going to get much into South Africa. I think you guys are more than able to get into South Africa, and I think we need to deal with South Africa. I think we need to deal a lot more with the richest continent on the planet,
Right.
Having the 10 most impoverished countries. So
Right.
we're all gonna get on to that at some point. But Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
Let me say this: if you live to be older than 25 years old, you will have a pre-existing condition.
Yeah, right, right.
You're right.
Right. That's right.
You're right.
No such thing.
And sometimes
as,
before that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, there's no such thing as young invincible. No such thing. No animal exists. I've buried too many young people to know that they are not invincible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And affordable care, affordable health care is one of the most dynamic issues that face us today. If you watch the news just in the last couple of days, you're aware of two things. GlaxoSmithKline. There was a news report that came out of England about GlaxoSmithKline stopping the practice of literally paying doctors to carry their drugs and write prescriptions. The healthcare industry is just a gigantic cash cow.
That's
Right.
it.
And the
That's
insurance
it.
industry is a gigantic racket.
That's
and
right.
Very few people will be able to afford health care. This is very, very important because unless you are a multi-millionaire...
We got 30 seconds now.
All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for everything. You take it out, and peace to both of you.
Merry
Thank you,
Christmas.
man.
Okay.
Merry Christmas. Thank
Hey,
you.
Merry Christmas.
The other call
And
dropped
with
off.
that, we don't need a rollout. But, you know,
Have yourself
it's been a great year.
a merry
And
little Christmas.
I love the way,
Let the Yuletide
you know,
gay.
and we're going to see you guys next year.
From now on, our troubles
Because next week is
will be
Christmas, and
far
if you want,
away.
you can come see me at the National Action Network, 106 West 145th Street, and we're handing out gifts and having a good time. Every Reverend Sharpton will be there. And I'll be streaming us live to the world. So any place on the planet, you can see us at National Action Network on Christmas.
So
All right?
have yourself
The God in me loves the God in you, and thank you for coming. God bless.
Now.